Hello, this is Nadelka with you once again. Today I'm going to be demonstrating how to prepare hojaldas. Hojaldas are Panamanian flat fried bread. And I'm not going to do much talking. I just want to quickly show you the process of how to create the dough. The dough is then left to rest. And then after an hour, or you can let it rest overnight, but after an hour or overnight, then you can go ahead and prepare the bread by separating small portions and browning them on both sides. So I'm gonna get started. I have 2 cups of flour here, and this is the 3rd cup, and you will see the recipe posted on the bottom of this video. I have 3 cups of whole wheat flour, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, 3 teaspoons of cornstarch, 2 teaspoons of sea salt, and now I'm going to use 1.5 cups of water, and then I'll add 1 tablespoon of honey. I'll start with 1 cup of water after I mix the dry ingredients, and then I'll add the last half of cup, or as needed. You'll see the consistency of the dough, and that will let you know how much water to use. Sometimes if there's a lot of humidity in the air, you do not need all of the water. So first you mix the dry ingredients, and then you add the water. And as you're adding the water, you can mix as you go. The water doesn't have to be any specific temperature. It could be warm, room temperature, or cold water. It does not matter. You will be letting this rest before you use it, so the temperature of the water does not matter. And so that was 1 cup of water. At this point, I'll add the honey, and then I'll add the rest of the water. Get all of it out. It gives a little bit of sweetness to this bread, to the hojaldas. We used to eat a lot of this growing up. I don't really remember making it in Panama. I came to this country as a young teenager, but I've been making it a lot lately. It is a very simple bread. I've been trying to eat as simple as possible, fresh fruits and vegetables, and trying to make my own bread. And this recipe in particular is a quick bread that, because it does not use any yeast, it can be eaten fresh right after it is prepared. Okay, so I've added the water, and at this point I'm going to start to knead it with my hands, and it does not need much kneading, and that keeps the bread fairly light and soft. And you want to make sure that all the flour that's around the bowl, all the dry ingredients, are incorporated into the dough. At that point, you'll know that the dough is ready to be left to rest. And I think I've got pretty much all the dry ingredients from around the bowl into the dough. And you know the dough is ready when you push back at it, and it basically returns to its original position. If the dough starts to stick to your hands, you can just sprinkle a little dusting the whole wheat flour to allow you to knead it. But this dough is pretty much ready. You see how quickly it was prepared. Okay, and you can see when you press into it, it returns to its original position. That means it's ready. And so I will now allow this to rest for 1 hour or overnight. And then I'll show you how to prepare the hojaldres. Okay, this dough is ready. Okay, you see there? That's ready to be rested. So we're ready to prepare the hojaldres. I have added about 2 tablespoons of grapeseed oil, and I'm coating the pan just enough oil to make sure that the dough does not stick to the skillet and the hojaldres can move freely in it. And this dough here has been rested. I actually rested this overnight, and now I'm going to start making the hojaldres. I'm going to cut the dough in half because this recipe makes 12 and I'm only going to make 6 of them. And I'll save the rest of the dough for later or tomorrow morning. And so I'll break off a portion. I might just make 4 large ones this time. Right, you can make 6 small ones, but I'll make 4 large ones just to show you how stretchy the dough has become after it's been rested. The gluten in it has developed. I use whole wheat flour because it still has all the fiber in the flour, which means that this flour will move through your system and it will not become stuck in your colon and cause constipation. It will be, you know, the fiber used, you know, serves as a broom in your colon to sweep everything out. White flour has had all the husk and the fiber removed, and so it is very sticky and gluey. I believe back in the day they used to mix white flour and water to make a glue or paste for school children, and so I avoid using any type of refined flours or grains. And so what you do is you just stretch the dough out as far as it will go without tearing, but even if you get some holes, that is perfectly fine. And then we're going to place it in the pan, and when it starts to bubble, we'll turn it over. As soon as it starts to bubble, it's time to flip it over, otherwise it gets too brown. And so you see that on the sides it started to bubble, and that means I'm going to flip it over on the other side. And that is a perfect browning right there. Now make maybe 2 more to make sure you have the process down. Another method that I use, especially when I'm doing the second and third ones, is after I place the dough in the pan, I cover up the skillet with the glass cover and allow the steam to cook the hojalda. And so this process uses less oil. So you don't need to continue to add oil to the pan. Whenever the pan feels like it's running out of oil, just simply steam the hojaldres, and it tastes just as delicious, just as sweet, and it is just a very healthy and nutritious bread. And it's very quick, especially if you have large families. And so this is ready, and you should have a plate with paper towel ready. And you can place them on that plate as they come out. And then we'll do 2 more. So again, I'll show you how to stretch the dough. And we'll steam this one so you see that you can also use that method. Again, the fire is set low to medium heat. And this becomes stretchy like that once the dough is allowed to rest. If you try to do the dough and make the hojaldres right away, you'll find that the dough is very stiff and you won't be able to stretch it out this way. So I've even used it, you know, half an hour after preparing it, and the gluten has developed enough to do this. But you can't do it right away. So planning is important. So now that I've placed this, I'm going to place the cover on the pan and allow the steam to cook it. And even through the glass, I can see, I'm not sure if you can see through the camera, but I can see the bubbles forming on the hojaldres. And you can always check to make sure. Yep, you see how it's all bubbled up? And so I'm going to flip it over and cover it again. And now you have seen both methods. You can lightly fry it, or you can steam the hojaldres. And I usually serve this with a scrambled tofu or vegan sausage and peppers. I used it tofurkey because it's, you know, soy based and non-GMO, and it's Italian. It's like Italian sausage flavor. It already comes seasoned with some onions and bell peppers within the sausage itself, and I just add to it. I cut up onion and bell peppers and sometimes even garlic, and I just stir fry it, and then I make a little gravy by adding tomato sauce. And so this is complete. And now you've seen both methods. You see how even the other side, both sides were made perfectly, and now you know how to make Panamanian hojaldres. I am very honored to be able to share this recipe with you, and I hope you give it a try. God bless.
It may be in the morning when the day is awaking, when sunlight through darkness and shadow breaking, that Jesus will come in the fullness of glory to receive from the world his own.
It may be at noonday, it may be at twilight, maybe by chance the blackness of midnight will burst into light in a blaze of his glory when Jesus receives